Oh, such a stunning, stunning poem. So thank you to everyone who's joined. I've recently moved from Johannesburg to Cape Town, and so I thought I'd start with a poem I wrote about a particular part of Johannesburg at a particular time. It's called New Braamfontein. In the vanishing dark, the call of the muezzin grieves the sky. From the balcony, our neighbor cries into her phone. The city will break your heart. Untouched by the emergency, we grow lush among the houseplants. The flowering loaves number our days. The laughing doves bring us the world. In bed, a sovereign nation of two, I turn to you. If you hate Johannesburg, you've never been in love. The next one I want to read is called Stitch. And to just have a content warning, it is about assault and trauma. So it begins with an excerpt from the American Psychiatric Association Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5, with vaginismus, now termed genetico-pelvic pain disorder, is the involuntary contraction of the pelvic floor muscles. The tight muscles make coitus and gynecological exams difficult or impossible. The cause is often linked to sexual trauma, and its definition has been expanded in light of new research and now incorporates pain, muscle tension, and fear. Okay. 1. This is how you burn your underwear so no witch can find it. She leans forward, bends into the bathtub. The thread is snagged, runs red along the seam. 2. Remember the sight of the mountains in that tiny apartment in Montreal? You're in her bathroom trying to use a tampon, slipping a spoon between the seed and the fruit. You're breathing a needle through the wrong side of the fabric. 3. This is how he walks into the poem, in a place too narrow for speaking, where prayer is backed to the hilt. 4. For a long time after, you rent mirrors until you disappear, your pelvis thinning out, a knife tracing the scar, the fold so quick through the linen. Next one I want to read is one of my favorites, and I think slightly lighter or lighthearted than the others. It's called I'm Never More Black. I'm never more black than first thing in the morning. My hair a knot of animals brawling, biting at the comb. When the man at the petrol station demands to know why I don't speak an African language, what he really means is, perform your blackness. He means, show me you are not a burial place for our traditions. In the 4th grade, an Irish nun tells me my braids are a distraction. I'm sent home to practice disappearance. Years ago, on a crowded street in Hong Kong, a Nigerian man sent me a tender nod of recognition, as if to say, see how blackness grants us the power of ubiquity. We are everywhere at once. Okay, the last one I'll read from this collection, and then I'll share one from the new one, is also, well, it's the second last poem in the book. It's called The Litany of Mary. They're painting the walls of the Collégiale Notre-Dame des Anges. Inside, 122 gold angels usher the Virgin Mary forward. In the slow bleed of dusk, I stand below its battered awning, ever closer, ever closer. Mother, grant me a secret language that is all our own. I'll say snowfall in old Quebec, and you'll know that I mean the man who found me in the dark. Twilight turned to trembling, the months that ground my bones. Our Lady of the Waiting Rooms, I have lived 30 years gallows scared, touched by God or love or madness, depending. I am a Sunday orphan, child of the ghost kingdom, begging honey from the rock. Undoer of knots, loosen the secret pills inside my teeth, the good medicine of meaning. Give me the words that are God when I cannot see God. This next one is from a collection I'm working on, called The Wound We Breathe Through. And I've been thinking a lot about ancestry and lineage and what we inherit when we're writing it. And so this poem is kind of in that vein. It's called Archive. I'm going to read it directly from the notebook. It's that new. In the burn of mid-afternoon, we wander through the streets of Istanbul, you calling out to every vendor selling abayas, the air full of barter and banter, the smoky tartness of sumac, and saffron's bright floral bite. We turn a corner, and there it is, the unassuming stall, a neat row of skewered meat, the plain pleasure of eating in open air. The cook marks our likeness, and I am glad to be yours, glad of this heavy mirror between us, proud to be carved from the same raw living earth. I think of the last days of your grandmother's life, the house in Kinshasa, filled with the hum of the family line, that thrumming wire of memory and blood. There is the photograph, Kokolo, Koko, you, me, the past cradling the present, the future murmuring. If I belong nowhere else, let me belong to this testament of ties, this deathless archive, 100 years traveling through time to touch the next. Thank you.
Well, Sarah, thank you. You're free to read more if you feel inclined, but I won't.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But...
Okay. I have one more also from the new collection. And I almost wanted to say, pardon my French, I'm back on my bullshit, by which I mean I am now returning to the theme of immigration, which, you know, I can't not write about. So this one is called Desert Dump. And it begins with, in response to reports that the Tunisian government is expelling African migrants into the desert that borders Libya without food or water. See the tombs they make of us, a discardment of bodies ghost walk a dry sea, sun-skinned backs, salted raw, down to the white of them. You must imagine the babies, the urgency of little lungs, hollowing the rocks. You must imagine a thirst that unmakes the world. Beneath a wilderness of olive trees, green and burning they tread, fearing their own names. From dust their words come. History is the wound we breathe through. I'll share just one other, if that's okay, and then hand over. So as we're actually going into colder weather here, I thought I'd end with Ode to Spring from the previous collection. Here is the breath of paper wrapping, the soft rustle of prayer, for the swelling in the knees, for 2 small bruises on the breast, for the air at first light, hungry and roaming. Here is the first clean bite of mint, quince pear on the windowsill, the slow aria of vanilla, the notes so open you could weave the sweetness in. Here is the porcelain bowl, the daydream of water, skin the color of baked nectarines in the bleached sea light. Here is the wet grass, the heaven and the earth, the bright throat of spring yawning across the sky. Oh, I can't hear you. I don't know if you're muted.
Sorry, yes, I am. Sorry. Thank you. Wow, I could listen to you for a very long time, Sarah, and I think I speak for everyone who's in this room. So thank you for the extra poems. Really interesting to hear the new work, and the old work. But yeah, just exciting to hear the new stuff.
Thank you.
Could we all give Sarah a hand, because that's where we're leaving it, I'm afraid. So could we all unmute and give Sarah?
Meeting mute. 1, 2 mute. Currently unmuted. Plaatje audio settings. Stop my video.
Thank you. Thank you. I can see also the comments coming in, so thanks so much. That's very kind.
Yeah, applause in a Zoom room doesn't quite feel adequate to just heard, but it seems to be the ritual. So yeah, wonderful to hear you.
Thank you. Thanks
Hey.
so much.
Hey. Does anyone have questions or comments for Sarah?
There are a few reactions which are I can see popping up.
Okay, I see Jacques, you have a hand. You can raise an actual hand or a virtual hand. Jacques, do you want to start us off?
He might be muted as well.
Let me just gather my thoughts. For some reason, I thought someone else would be would me.
Zoom meeting E1212 lower hand. Press F6 to return to the meeting controls. Mute. Currently unmuted. Plaatje audio settings. Stop my video. Plaatje video settings. More meeting. More speech off.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, we'll stop making noise. What? I mean, I agree with Ed. I could literally listen to you read the entire collection from start to finish, and I would still want more. But what strikes me is how thin the line is sometimes. It feels to me between feeling estranged, feeling exiled, and belonging. There's this wonderful image. You say that we are everywhere at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to me both an image of exile and of belonging, because if you can be everywhere, if you can be anywhere, it means that you belong anywhere and nowhere.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely.
That's an extraordinarily beautiful, striking image. And the other image I love is this sovereign nation of two. kind of slip into a different kind of belonging.
Yeah.
If you want to say something
on that, well, thank you. Firstly, that's so generous and kind. Yeah, it's kind of as you say, right? There's a strangeness, at least in my experience, from being an immigrant and having been able to live in many places. And there is always a sense of belonging here, there, everywhere, nowhere simultaneously. And so I think I try to capture that in my writing, and it can't help but kind of find its way in my writing.
Well, I suppose poetry itself becomes a place where you belong.
Absolutely. I think I can't remember who I was speaking to who asked me about, how I feel about poetry. And I said, oh, it's like the country I belong to.
Yeah. No, thank you. I mean, extraordinary poems. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If there aren't any other questions, I don't know if I have questions, Sarah. I just, it always feels like there are many places, many portals, many openings to your work, and one of them for me is time and language, sort of cutting across time and experience. So always struck by that, and maybe wondering with a young one in the world how that has affected that. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Maybe I'll have other questions as well. And Kateko, I see you have a question.
Let me start with this one. Yeah, certainly having a baby and I think new parenthood especially is such an interesting period, and it does make you think of time differently. I think I spent a lot of my time thinking about how it lives in the body or across generations or within the moment, and so especially in the new collection I'm working on, which centers on motherhood to a great degree, I'm exploring those ideas and seeing how they stretch. So yeah.
Okay. No, exciting. And can I put 3 lines back to you?
Yes, absolutely.
So I'll take from the last one. History is the wound we breathe through.
Mm.
You must imagine a thirst that unmakes the world.
Sure. Yeah.
That thrumming wire of memory and blood.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Kateko.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
I absolutely love your work. And I think there's a way that you are able to speak about trauma and about beauty simultaneously, and to not romanticize things, but to describe them as they are, but to also, I think, allude to the ways in which certain things can be beautiful, even though the beauty is not overt, and how certain things can be traumatic. I think there's a way in which you describe things that I find really interesting. It doesn't hit you in the face. It's like a soft, it's like wind passing by, and then you realize, okay, that's what it is. There's a softness, there's a gentleness to your poetry that I find really, really beautiful. And yeah, I'm such a fan.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm a fan of yours too. Yeah, that's incredibly generous. Yeah, I always think at the center of all this writing is often tenderness, and that word encapsulates all the kind of feelings of both this beauty, but also this kind of aching. I think I'm kind of, not in a negative way, melancholic by nature. I think to some degree, almost all poets are. And I find myself a lot playing with that kind of idea of tenderness and how to put it on the page. So thank you so much for noticing it.
Thank you for your work.
Okay, we have a question from Loic. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Hi.
Hi. Hi, good evening. Yes, you are. Thank you for that. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Just of course, I love your work, and so much of it is about exploring place, and not only as I suppose not only as a location, but as a placement, as the person, as a speaker of your poems. And I think it's sometimes you know, as writers, etc., you try to follow a certain philosophy or tell a certain story. Long story short, what I want to know is, what have you, in your journey so far, as you're writing, as you're living as an immigrant, living as a human being, you know, what are the things that you've learned can coexist, either in your writing or in your own life, things that you didn't think could coexist, and you've now made peace with it. I've come to the realization that these things, these parallels, can coexist, if there is any.
Yeah, thank you. Everyone's asking such great questions, so thank you so much. Gosh, I think a lot of things, especially when I was writing the first collection, I didn't think a lot of this trauma could exist around, you know, the possibility of love or community or a certain kind of freedom or the ability to find home in yourself, you know. I always thought those things were incongruent with trauma. But also, like all things that I think are part of the human experience, there's always kind of, if we're really paying attention, a parallel track, which isn't a bad thing. But, you know, we understand that we live somewhere between the shadow of like joy and pain and like hope and despair, and that's just the nature of being human. And I've been pleasantly surprised by that. And then certainly having a baby also makes you aware of how many things can exist at once, just like utter happiness and complete fatigue and like this kind of newfound wonderment and also like boredom and this deep patience and also frustration. And it's a fascinating, really beautiful distillation of kind of life. You're welcome.
Sorry, lovely questions tonight. Yeah, anyone else with a question? Otherwise, we can have a short break and come back for an open mic. Going. Okay.
Sorry, there's a question in the chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Erin.
Not from me, but
okay, thank you for that. I haven't seen that. Sarah, do you see the question? I think it's from Keith. Yes. I'll read the question, unless you can see it there. Sarah? Sarah, I think you're frozen, perhaps. At least you're on my screen. I can read Keith's question in the meantime, in case Sarah's trying to rejoin. Keith writes, my laptop is a fossil and won't be able to hear me. Question, maybe I'm reaching, but always feel like I see visuals of dusk in your poetry. Do you have a specific relationship with dusk, of colors that evoke dusk? So I think Sarah's going to try and join us. And hopefully she'll have seen the question. Hi.
Hi, sorry, I'm not sure. I think my connection suddenly disappeared. So I didn't hear that question that was in the comments.
Okay, should I read it again?
I can't hear you. Are you unmuted?
Okay, can you hear me now, Sarah? Sarah, can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay, Keith's question is, Keith writes, my laptop is a fossil and you won't be able to hear me. Question, maybe I'm reaching, but always feel like I see visuals of dusk in your poetry. Do you have a specific relationship with dusk, colors that evoke dusk?
That's actually really well spotted. I've actually never thought of that, but I think it's a time where I'm often my most kind of contemplative. And so I find a lot of inspiration in that specific time. And it feels like, I don't know, a time for me where almost no one else exists. And it's yeah, my own kind of special pocket in the universe. So I think that's why. Thank you for the question.
Hey, well, if there are no further questions, we can take a break. Usually take about 5 minutes. And so that would mean we'll come back at 11 minutes past 8 South African time. Hope to catch you on the other side of this. You may read your own work, another poet's work. It's entirely open. It's up to you. Okay, I shall stop this recording. I can figure out how to do that. Okay, it looks like AI is recording this, whether I like it or not. So, okay, we'll come back in 5.